All right, George, let's pull up James Ort from BRP. So some of you guys may know BRP owns a lot of different brands. James, how many brands does BRP actually own? Because I originally knew it as a pad company, the pads inside my razor on the doors, but
Yeah.
it's a much larger brand than that.
Yeah, there's actually 22 brands in the BRP umbrella.
What are some of the big ones?
So there's Can-Am, Sea-Doo, Ski-Doo are the four big ones, and Can-Am is now split into Can-Am Motorcycles and Can-Am Off-Road.
Right on. And you've been in sponsorships for quite a long time.
Yeah, so I can give you a little bit of my background. I actually used to be a sponsor. Well, my first encounter with sponsorship was as a kid. I was an inline rollerblader, and somebody approached me at the skate park and asked if they could sponsor me with a bearing company. So that was how I got, my first sort of sponsor interaction. But um, I have worked at BRP for about 5 years now. I actually studied sports management back in college, and that was kind of where my career in the industry started. I've worked at Oakley and Red Bull and was with BRP as the second employee in our sponsorship department starting 5 years ago. And
Wow.
I was there through tremendous growth of BRP, tripling in 2 years through COVID. So I've received an insane amount of sponsorship proposals over the years, probably in the thousands. And yeah, so super excited to be here and really appreciative to have the opportunity to chat with you guys.
Well, let's go there for a second. If you've seen so many proposals, what attracts your attention? What will get a conversation started that might take it to the next level, whether it's months, weeks, or years out? Earlier on the call, we learned, you don't just make one phone call, meet a sponsor, and get sponsored immediately. You want to build relationships that takes years sometimes. What moves the needle for you? What got those sponsorships started? You've seen so many of them.
Yeah, totally. Man, I have a lot of info and kind of notes to run through. If it's cool with you, I can just kind of like start from the top and rip through it.
Let's do it. We have
All
12
right.
minutes. Let's go
All
for it.
right.
You got the
Sweet.
screen,
Let's
you got
rip.
the stage for 12 minutes.
All right. Let's hammer down, put the 4 point harness on, and charge it.
All right.
So sponsorship can really take the form of many different things. There's influencer marketing as sort of these quick one-off collaborations, but ambassadorship or partnership is more of a long-term collaboration. And I think that's what everybody should be aiming for. And, those smaller influencer oriented
Thank
collaborations
you.
can be fine as sort of a kickoff or, good practice. But I think everybody should really be aiming for longer term partnership. The challenge right now is partnerships are pretty hard to come by. I've probably received 500 to 1,000 pitches this year, and on the Sea-Doo brand in particular, we've approved one of those pitches. So,
Wow.
and it was one of our, it was one of Yamaha's only ambassadors that wanted to switch to Sea-Doo, and it would have been really stupid for us not to pursue this partnership. So, there's kind of this ongoing joke in sponsorships and partnerships that it's similar to a marriage or, dating or a relationship. And so I would recommend to anybody pursuing sponsorship or partnership to think about it like dating, which, is kind of a comical parallel. But you want to marry a brand who's going to help you grow, challenge you, support you. And in this macroeconomic climate, it's almost like dating during COVID. Nobody wants to go on a date right now, and that makes it hard. But just be patient. The industry will work through it, and there are inevitably brands out there that want to partner. So, what are my tips for this sort of dating environment per se when you're pursuing partnership? I broke it down into 7 different parts: establishing a brand, knowing your value, building your audience, your army, learning insatiably, finding a gap, selling your value, and then over delivering on that value. So I'll break those 7 things down. First, establishing your brand. I'm sure you guys have covered this extensively, so I won't go too into it. But what is your superpower? What's your brand DNA, your core values? You've got to have a website, social media. Those things are, non-negotiable. Number 2, knowing your value. We in the industry, ambassadors and partners are broken down into 4 groups in my experience. There's content creators, influencers, community leaders, and product experts. And the reason that's important is it indicates what your value is, what you're selling, what you bring to the table, and understanding that value is so critical, whether you think or whether that you can sell units, whether you're making content, whether you can provide reach and awareness, whether you're consulting on product design. Those are some things that you may bring to the table. And it's really a Venn diagram of those four categories: creators, influencers, community leaders, product experts. Everybody, I assume all of you guys watching this have some percentage of each of those, but it helps kind of decipher and communicate your value if you know those. A good example for us on Can-Am is Dustin Jones. He's really overlapping all of those circles. He's consulting on product design, he's creating content, he's influencing his audience, and he's leading his community. So I'd be happy to go more into detail on those four if we have time, but just trying to cruise through this in case I can help answer any questions. And then number 3, I have building your audience or your army. And this can take
years.
Yeah, it's so much easier said than done. And I don't want this to sound easy. Building an audience in a community is tiring and, excruciating at times. But if you're passionate about it, just keep chipping away. Consistency's key. The Mr. Beast example and story is an incredible one. He, got together with a couple of his friends and they made content every day, got on a phone call every day and talked about best practices, what's working, what's not. So having that sort of insatiable improvement mentality is huge, which brings me to my next point. Number 4 is learn and have an insatiable appetite for learning, getting better every day. Take courses, like YouTube is out there, Coursera is out there, LinkedIn Learning, like really get into all of the subcategories of what it takes to not just deliver on the racing side, but also deliver at graphic design, editing, filming, pitching, emailing. All of those things are skills that can be learned and developed. And having that growth mentality will really help you sustain and learn and innovate long-term to stay relevant. Number 5 is finding a gap. You really can act as a consultant to the brands that you're pursuing and identify a pain point that you can resolve. If I'm BRP and we've got Travis Pastrana, I'm convinced that our bases are covered. So what do you have to offer that Travis doesn't? And, what gap do you fill that we're not already filling? And, again, that's easier said than done, but it's just a good mindset to be in when you go into the pitch. Which brings me to number 6, selling your value. Your pitch, your presentation should be super dialed, beautiful. Practice it time and time again. With pitching, and I know this was a topic you guys talked through earlier, but timing is everything. I would recommend pitching in June, July, August for the following year. That's typically, from my experience, when budgets are being decided. And the person you pitch to is everything. And finding the right person to pitch to is very, very challenging. But if you're here on this call, you've got a great network. You're already doing a lot of the right things. So utilize LinkedIn, use your network, even reach out to people that are on the team of the brands that you want to work with. Get resourceful to identify who those people are. And then, think about it from a human standpoint. Like, no one's ever done this, but if someone mailed me a letter and said, "Hey, I would love to have a conversation," I would be stoked. How can you stand out from the crowd and really do something that makes you different? It's almost like a job interview. How do you stand out from everybody else that's hitting up these brands? And then have specific ideas in mind that reference your brand parallel and that value that we talked about. I hate when someone hits us up and they're like, "Hey, I'd love to partner with you guys." I'm like, "All right, what do you got?" Hit me with a very specific idea. Like, I want to do this content piece at this location, this date. Here's what it's going to cost, and here's what I need from you. The more specific you can be in that pitch, the better. And I can't stress enough how you guys are the experts. And a lot of these people at brands, for better or worse, are not as knowledgeable on the industry as you are. So really come to the table with that expertise and, show your expertise and act as a consultant. They do need your help. And, a lot of us in the industry get hired because we've got a degree or a background or we knew somebody, but not everybody that works at these brands is as in the, nitty gritty of the community as you are. So you are an expert and they do need your help. So, I without having met you guys, I can feel some serious strength and expertise out there. So, and then number 7 is over deliver. Once you're in with a partner, just crush it. And professionalism goes so far in this industry. I can't tell you how many times I've had people miss a call that they were scheduled for. And, I have got in the habit of reminding everybody, like, hey, please get on this call. But I shouldn't have to do that. Like, you guys should really be over delivering on keeping up with a calendar, scheduling calls, sending emails, network with the internal team and build actual relationships beyond the person who's your main point of contact if you get to that point. Even one thing I think is really awesome is when our team contribute to the industry outside of what we require them. Like, go write for a publication in the industry, find a media outlet that you can write articles about, and just over deliver and overachieve and really add value above and beyond what you're required to. Even volunteering at events, engaging with community platforms and social platforms. Right now, BRP just had our big global product reveal. Are you, looking for those opportunities with other brands and really engaging with their content and commenting and, like getting other people fired up? And then, sending recaps. Like, once you're working with a brand, recap monthly, quarterly, annually, how you did, what you did. Those really go a long way. And then I would say the last thing is just have fun. That's why we're all here. We're all passionate about the industry, and, maintaining that passion goes a long way. So that was a very quick run through, but how are we doing?
No, that was excellent. You know what I really liked about it is you brought up something new, but it's so logical and obvious, and that is drivers, especially in off-road and teams, are the experts in the field, and the marketing directors often aren't. I mean, most of the people I have on are because I know them, and that's why I bring them on, because I know that they're going to have good things to say. But so many marketing people who I've met in motorsports in general, not just off-road, they've worked their way up from other departments, or they just happen to be the boss's nephew or something,
Right.
and therefore they're in marketing and they have this title marketing, but they have no idea how to market to the community that's endemic to the brands that they're representing.
Totally.
Off-road is a culture, it's a community. As I love it as what Matt Martelli calls it. He calls it a two-ball sport versus a one-ball sport. And that meaning goes really deep if you think about it, because all the one ball sports, stick and ball sports, baseball, football, you have a coach telling you what to do. You have a number that, you wear a jersey. Everybody's dressed the same. Everybody looks the same. You have this very specific position, and that's only what you do. And one team wins and one team loses. And that's a game. It's a performance. But with motorsports, and with specifically off-road motorsports, it's a culture. It's families going to the desert and going to the mountains and going outdoors to appreciate a riding session and just camping. And it's more about camping and riding than it is racing. Racing is the icing on the cake when it comes to off-road, but it's not the community. So you be the expert for the brand that doesn't understand the culture, and you can integrate that brand into the culture. I think that was actually outstanding. You're the first person who said that, and I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely, man.
And you got 30 seconds. Any last words of advice? Because you already covered a lot, but I'm going to give you a full 15 minutes here, 30 seconds, and then we're going to jump over to Monster Joe, who's in Poland.
Man, are there any specific questions I can answer? Is there anything?
Well, so one thing I know most drivers on the call are saying, I think I'm a good fit for BRP or maybe Can-Am. How can I get a hold of you? How do I approach you? What's my next step? How do I get your attention? That's
Yeah,
one of the most commonly asked questions.
it's tough, man. This year we've essentially been told to just say no to everything, and it doesn't make our job fun right now. But I think this is a great time to really develop those relationships with the people in the industry and at BRP. And I would kind of need their approval to mention anybody in particular, but I'm super happy to field any requests. And if I feel like they're a good fit, I can share them with the team. But this is sort of a rebuild year and a kind of recollect and and get everything back on track. So I guess just level setting an expectation that that's kind of the stage we're at right now, but we will get through it. It's only a matter of time. And I would say if anybody wants to shoot me anything, on LinkedIn is a good place to reach me, and you can shoot me a message and I'll share it with the rest of our team. But yeah,
Awesome. Well, thank you, James. I appreciate it. Thank you for the
yeah,
time
absolutely.
and being very well prepared. I really do appreciate that. I think that's
Yeah,
some excellent
absolutely.
information.
I wish I had more time. I love this topic and love diving into this. So happy to connect with anybody. And I would love to see everybody just kind of pushing their careers to the next level. So,
Yeah, next time I won't do this so late on for East Coast. We've lost about 2/3 of the attendees because East Coast are going to watch the recording. But I got a lot of emails telling me that that was going to be the case just because of the timing. But for those of us on the West Coast, we're still going on. But thank you. Thank you once again.
yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you for
All
having
right.
me.
Take care.